Two identical cars. Same route, same stretch of road, same model, same year. The first one made it on half a tank. The second one needed almost a full one. At the pump, nearly double the money. And the guy with the empty tank is convinced, I got the thirsty one. Bad luck. No, it wasn't bad luck. You didn't get a lemon. He's being lied to, and he pays for that lie at a rate of roughly one extra tank a month, year after year, without ever once noticing. And we're going to start with the argument almost everybody gets wrong every single summer. AC or windows down. One of those two costs you real money on the highway, and it's not the one you're thinking of. Picture the guy. 4 hours of sitting in the heat, shouting himself hoarse over the roar of the wind, pulling in with a half-empty tank, proud of everything he just saved. After that, I'll take apart 7 places where your car is lying to you. But one lie costs more than all the others combined. A part that drives your fuel consumption up and never throws a single warning light. The mechanic hooks up the scanner and tells you everything checks out, and the tank keeps draining anyway. I'll give you its name at the end, along with the suspicion profile, so you can find it before it burns through more fuel than the part itself is worth.
Empty motorway, late evening. A driver pulls out to overtake, settles at 120 because it feels like nothing at all, and the engine note barely changes. That is the whole trap in one sentence. The sensation stops rising. The cost does not. Air resistance does not grow in step with your speed. It grows with the square of it. Double your speed and the air is not pushing back twice as hard. It is pushing back 4 times as hard. Walk chest deep into the sea. At a slow walk, the water is barely there. Speed up to a jog, and it stops being water and becomes a wall. Nothing about the sea changed. You changed, and it charged you for it. That is what your bonnet is doing at motorway speed. Past a certain point, you are no longer buying movement at all. You are buying air by the kilogram and receiving nothing whatsoever in exchange. Come down from 120 to 100, and economy improves by 15 to 20%. For most cars, the genuinely efficient cruise sits somewhere between 80 and 100. Now price what those 20 extra kilometers per hour actually bought you. On a 400-kilometer run, 120 instead of 100 saves about 20 minutes, paid for with a fifth of the tank, plus extra wear on everything spinning underneath you. 20 minutes, which you will then spend standing at a fuel pump. And there is already a gauge on your dashboard telling you the exact moment you cross that line. It has been sitting there since the day you collected the car, and almost nobody reads it for what it really shows. It is not the fuel gauge. It is the rev counter. Watch it once on a long run, and you will never unsee it. You hold your speed. The box takes top gear, the needle drops low and settles. That is the engine turning fuel into distance at the cheapest rate it is capable of. Push the speed up, and the needle climbs with it. You are not reading engine speed. You are reading the meter running on your tank in real time. The lowest revs that will hold the speed you have chosen is the least fuel burning, which also buries the opposite superstition, that crawling saves money. Drive too slowly, and the engine sits in a low gear at higher revs, working hard and delivering almost nothing. You suffer, everyone behind you suffers, and the tank empties anyway. Automatic? Simpler still. Lift off gently until the box takes the highest gear it is willing to hold. Then leave your foot exactly where it is and let the speed be whatever it turns out to be. Hold the pedal position, not the number. August, same motorway. A driver winds all 4 windows down and switches the cooling off, completely certain he is protecting his money. 2 hours of shouting over the wind. 2 hours of hot air battering the side of his head. He arrives sticky, deaf, and proud of himself. The man in the next lane drove the same road sealed shut at 22 degrees and used less fuel. The half-truth is this. Switching off the air conditioning genuinely does save fuel, because the compressor really does steal power from the engine. That part is true, and it is why the belief survives. But at motorway speed, 4 open windows turn the inside of your car into a sail. The turbulence costs more than the compressor ever did, and total consumption with the windows down comes out higher. So the rule splits by road. In town, at low speed, windows open and compressor off. There the air is not fighting you. On the highway, windows shut and moderate cooling. and once the cabin is actually cool, a gentle setting holds it for a fraction of what maximum costs. Years of sweating through summer journeys, paying extra for the privilege the entire time, that closes the account on air. Everything from here is spent by your right foot, starting with a way to throw away fuel you have already burned and already paid for. Most drivers do it several hundred times a trip.
Moderate traffic, no hills, nothing urgent happening anywhere. The driver closes on a lorry, brakes, pulls out, accelerates hard, closes on the next one, brakes again, pulls back in. Closes on another, brakes, 40 times in an hour. Stop afterwards and hold your hand near the front wheel arch. You can feel where the fuel went. It is warm metal. This is the purest form of paying twice. Every time you accelerate, the injectors put fuel in and you buy speed with it. Every time you brake, you take that speed, already bought, already paid for, sitting inside the car as energy, and you convert it into heat in the brake discs and throw it out into the air. Bought once to create it, bought again to destroy it. And the second purchase never appears on a single gauge in front of you. The fix costs nothing and needs no parts. Look further ahead, not at the bumper in front of you, 200 meters up the road, where the traffic is already announcing what is about to happen. See the brake lights coming, lift off early, and let the car lose speed on its own. It arrives at the same place at the same time, and you never spend the money. Most drivers spend an entire journey staring at the boot lid of the car ahead, reading one page at a time when the whole chapter is open in front of them. If you are nodding at this, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this reach the people still braking 40 times an hour. Now, there is a device sold as the cure for exactly this problem. It is fitted to almost every modern car, and on one specific kind of road, it does the precise opposite of what it promises. That kind of road is a hill, and hills are where the real money moves.
A driver reaches the foot of a mountain pass, sets the cruise control at 100, and takes his foot off the pedal for the next half hour. On flat, open road, that system earns its reputation honestly. It holds a perfectly constant speed and eliminates the involuntary micro-taps your foot makes without you ever noticing, hundreds of tiny corrections, each one a small injection of fuel. Remove them all and you save real money. On flat, clear road. This is not flat, clear road. Halfway up, the car starts bleeding speed against the gradient, and the system does the only thing it knows how to do. It defends the number. It buries the throttle. Then it drops a gear. Then another. The engine is screaming, holding exactly 100, and the average on the trip computer climbs while his foot is nowhere near the pedal. The system cannot see the hill. It does not know the summit is 400.
12 kilometers of descent, 2 drivers. The first rides the brakes the whole way down, foot resting on the pedal, controlling his speed the way it feels responsible to. He reaches the bottom with hot discs and a smaller tank. The second lifts off completely at the crest and touches nothing, not the throttle, not the brake. He reaches the bottom having burned roughly what the car burns sitting at a red light. The reason lives in the injection system. With a gear engaged and your foot fully off the throttle, modern electronic injection cuts fuel delivery almost entirely. The wheels are turning the engine, so the engine does not need fuel to stay alive. You are covering distance, gaining speed, and buying essentially nothing. This is the only place on the entire road where fuel is genuinely free, and the habit half of us were taught cancels it completely. Slipping into neutral on a descent because it feels frugal, because the engine sounds like it is resting. In neutral, the engine is disconnected from the wheels, so it has to burn fuel just to keep itself turning. It consumes. Not much, but it consumes, in the one place where you could have been consuming nothing. You also lose engine braking at the same moment, which leaves the brakes as the only thing holding the car back. Fuel burned, discs cooked, and the whole way down it feels like a clever trick. That is not your fault. Somebody taught you that, and never went back to check whether it was still true. The climb has its mirror rule. Arrive at the bottom of a hill with speed already gathered, and let momentum do part of the work, then you never need full throttle. Flooring it halfway up a gradient is among the heaviest single consumers of fuel there is. Reach the hill with speed, not with ambition. That is everything your driving can do. From here it is not your foot at all. From here it is what the car is quietly doing to itself, while you sit still and pay for it. A man stood at my counter and blamed the road. His car pulled right, every day, on every surface.
And he had concluded that the entire city had been built with a slope in it. Try it yourself. Straight road. Empty. Nothing coming. Relax your grip for 2 seconds and feel which way the car eases. You correct that without registering it, and you call it camber. It is not the road. It is a set of tires, pointing very slightly at each other, scrubbing sideways across the tarmac for every single meter of the journey, not rolling, dragging, continuously. And the fuel to drag them comes out of your tank at every speed, on every road, on every trip you have taken since it went out of true. The other symptom is written on the rubber, tires wearing unevenly across the tread, one edge going bald while the rest still looks nearly new. An alignment costs little and gives back more than it costs. In fuel and in tires you do not have to replace 2 years early. Pressure works the same way, and it is cheaper still. An underinflated tire flattens against the road and its contact patch spreads out. The bigger the patch, the more it drags, and the harder the engine works for exactly the same speed. It is the difference between pushing a wheelbarrow and pushing a sledge. Same load, same distance. One rolls, one fights you the whole way. Check them cold before you set off. Not after an hour on the motorway, when the air inside has heated and expanded and is telling you a comfortable lie. And the correct figure is not a matter of opinion. It is printed on a label inside your driver's door frame. Open the door and read it. That check costs nothing and pays you in fuel, in tire life, and in grip at the speeds where you need grip most. That is drag on the outside of the car. Inside, 3 cheap components are quietly charging a surcharge on every liter you buy, and one of them you can test in 10 seconds by holding it up at the sky. A car came in for high consumption, 60,000 kilometers on spark plugs rated for a fraction of that, and an air filter the color of soot. The owner had spent a year comparing fuel stations, driving past one to reach another, convinced he had found a bad batch somewhere in town. He had found bad fuel. It was under his own bonnet. The air filter is the one you can test yourself tonight. Pull it out and hold it up against daylight. If it is black and no light comes through, the engine is breathing through a blocked nose. And an engine that cannot breathe properly burns more fuel to get the air it needs. Worn spark plugs are the second. When the spark is weak, combustion is incomplete, and part of the fuel you paid for leaves through the exhaust pipe unburned. Bought, injected, expelled. It produced no power at all. You paid for that liter in full, and it did not turn your wheels a single revolution. The third is oil, and this one catches the people trying to be generous with their car. Oil that is too thick means every internal part has to turn against greater resistance. Use the viscosity the manufacturer actually specifies, not the one that sounds stronger and more protective. Thicker is not kinder. 3 components, all cheap. All quietly adding a surcharge to every liter. Close the bonnet and look up, because there is something bolted to the outside of a great many cars that costs 15% while carrying absolutely nothing. Roof bars fitted for 1 week of skiing in February. It is September now. The owner has genuinely stopped seeing them. They have become part of the car, like the mirrors. Ask him what is on his roof, and he could not tell you. The air has not stopped seeing them. At motorway speed, it hits those bars, tumbles into turbulence, and that churning mess drags along the entire length of the roof behind them. A roof rack, a luggage bar, anything mounted up there wrecks the aerodynamics of the car, completely empty. An empty rack on its own can raise consumption by up to 15%. 15% on every commute and every school run since the snow melted. Twice a day, paying to transport a shape. 2 aluminium bars that have carried nothing in 6 months, taking a slice out of every tank. 10 minutes with a spanner and it stops. If this trip does not need them, they should not be on the car. Everything up to this point you could have found by looking. The speed, the braking, the windows, the tires, the filter, the bars, all visible, all in front of you, all correctable by paying attention. The last one is not. The last one cannot be driven around because the car itself is lying to its own computer.
A woman came in convinced her car was cursed. Her word, not mine. Same commute for 6 years. Same road, same station, same driving. Then the tank started running out 2 days early. The dashboard stayed dark, the engine pulled cleanly, the idle was smooth, and there was not one new noise anywhere in it. The car drove exactly as it always had. It simply began costing more. She had checked her tires. She had changed stations. She had started wondering whether she was imagining the whole thing. High mileage, original sensor, never touched. Consumption up with no change in her driving and no change in her route. 3 out of 3. The part is the oxygen sensor, the lambda sensor. It sits in the exhaust, and its entire job is to report back to the computer how the air and fuel mixture came out, so the computer can correct the injection accordingly. It is the car's only honest witness to what is really happening inside the engine. As it ages and fouls, it starts reporting wrong values, and the computer has no way of knowing it is being misled. It trusts the reading and injects more fuel than the engine needs, kilometer after kilometer, every trip on your money. Then it gets worse. The engine adapts. That false number becomes its new normal, and overfueling becomes standard operating procedure. The car settles into the lie and runs that way permanently. 20%, a fifth of every tank, with no light on the dashboard. The danger here is the silence. A part that fails loudly gets fixed. A part that fails quietly gets paid for, every month, for years, while you blame the fuel, the price, and yourself. So take the test. 3 questions. High mileage on the car. Sensor never replaced. Consumption rose without any change in how or where you drive. 3 yes answers, and the oxygen sensor is your first suspect. Before you spend money on anything else, before you authorize a single hour of diagnostic time. The sensor itself is cheap next to the extra fuel it has already bought on your behalf. One more, free with the 7, because it is the same silence. Living on a nearly empty tank, always running the needle down into the red before you fill. Down there the pump draws from the bottom, where the sediment sits, and it swallows what it should never see. Over time, that damages the pump and the injectors. That is not a fifth of a tank. That is the kind of bill that makes you sit down on the curb outside the workshop. One part explained 20%. The rest of that gap is still yours, and it's tax. Not one of these transforms your consumption on its own. That is exactly why nobody notices any of it. Each one is small enough to wave away, and they were never meant to be judged one at a time. Air, bought by the kilogram through speed and open windows. The brake pedal as a furnace for money you already spent. Hills, where a machine defends a number on the way up, and a shift into neutral throws away free fuel on the way down. Tires that scrub instead of roll. 3 cheap parts under the bonnet. A shape on the roof carrying nothing, and a sensor that lies. 7. Together, a sensible cruising speed, anticipatory driving, correct cold pressure, no useless bars up there, an engine that is actually maintained, hills taken the way the injection system intends, that combination can improve economy by 20 to 30%. A car returning 12 kilometers per liter goes to 15 or more. Same car, same road, same journeys. Across a year of trips, that is money you can feel in your hand. That is the gap between the 2 cars that pulled off the forecourt together. Same money in, same road out, and one of those drivers spent roughly double the other. And none of it requires suffering. You are not crawling in the slow lane, you are not sitting in the heat with the windows down, you are not nursing the car. You are driving with intelligence, and you are not neglecting the machine. The same habits reduce wear on the engine, the brakes and the tires, and you arrive at the far end calmer than you used to. The promised part is the oxygen sensor. Up to a fifth of every tank, never a light on the dashboard, and the 3-question test names it in your own driveway. High mileage, never replaced, unexplained rise. 3 yes answers, and you know where to look before you hand your keys to anyone. Today, before anything else. Check your cold pressures against the label inside the driver's door frame. Take the roof bars off if this strip does not need them.
pull the air filter and hold it up to the light. Then measure yourself properly, because the trip computer is an opinion, not a fact. Brim the tank, reset the counter, drive normally, and brim again at the same pump. Divide the kilometers by the liters. That number is the truth. Do it before you change anything, and again afterwards, and none of this stays a matter of belief. So which one were you certain you had right, the windows or neutral on the descent?
Tell me in the comments, because one of those two answers is far more common than people are willing to admit. And subscribe, because there is something bigger than fuel economy waiting. The same silence. The same absent warning light. Only this time what it costs you is not a tank,